Relations. I would thank Mayor Dyer and City Commissioners for joining us for this important day. Commissioner Burns. This year, 2022, marks the 50th anniversary of the Office of Human Relations. That is 50 years that this office has been working to ensure fair treatment to employees and residents. I would like to acknowledge the amazing staff doing the work. If the staff from Office of Human Relations can raise their hands. Okay, so we have an investigator here today. Also, on this 50th anniversary, we're activating our Civil Rights Wall with the purpose of highlighting local civil rights leaders who have made a major contribution to advancing equity, equality, and inclusion in our community. Now I'll turn it over to our mayor for a few words in the unveiling.
Thank you, Mr. Sean, and I also want to thank our entire Human Relations team for doing such an awesome job. This wall has been a long time in coming. We've had our Civil Rights Awards dinner for the last 4 years, and now we have a place to showcase all of the honorees that we have honored over the last 4 years and those to come. You'll probably see some very familiar faces when we unveil this, and this is a big part of how we've become a more inclusive and equitable city. So I know that there will be a lot of elements that allow us to add to the honorees that are here and show the progress that we are making in our community. With that, I would like to ask Commissioner Burns to say a few words.
Good afternoon, and I'm proud to be joined by my beautiful daughter, Mikhail, who won't let me go. But as we're sitting in the weekend of leading up to Juneteenth, I reflect and recognize that as the Civil War abolished slavery, the discrimination that black folks still encountered did not end. You know, we hear about the national movements and the people of the national movements like Dr. King, Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, Harry T. and Harriet Moore. But oftentimes we don't reflect on our local heroes and our local leadership that has pushed for social justice here in the great city of Orlando. So it's great, it's a pleasure to be here to watch this unveiling of the Civil Rights Wall of Fame. And thank you, Mayor, for your leadership, and thank you to the leadership in recognizing the civil rights heroes of our community who have worked to make our city more equitable. I also want to thank Michonne Green, our equity official, and the human relations team for their hard work in putting this together. I look at this wall and it gives me great pride to know just how far we've come. From Dr. Humphreys, the former president of my beloved alma mater FAMU, to Representative Geraldine Thompson, to Father Pender, Commissioner Butler. I'm not standing here for this unveiling without their tireless efforts to ensure that all black people, women, and other minorities were given fair opportunities to succeed. But as the mayor mentioned, our work isn't done, and we're committed to making the city beautiful, more equitable, and more inclusive for all. So thank you.
Fabulous.
And there's room for more. This is good. So the fight for social justice continues.
Hey, Geraldine, since you're the only honoree here, why don't you come over?
Here, let's move this. Let's move the strings too.
All right, everybody, coming right here. Everyone nice close together. Here we go. Looking at me. 1, 2, 3. And don't worry about me. A little bit more. I can get you. There we go. Perfect. Go 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Okay.
Mr. Nelson's family, Mr. Nelson was the first director of this office and really just built the vision for this office. Mr. Nelson, okay, please come forward. So we have his wife, daughter, and son here with us today.
Squeeze in here.
So we'll just slide down a little.
Down. Do you need it to down?
Okay, everybody, here we go. Looking right at me. Let me have you actually turn your shoulder in. There we go. Very nice. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Great. Got it. Yep. All right. Think we're good.
Sean, are there refreshments?
So there are refreshments in this room. Thank you, Mayor. In this room here. So you are welcome.
Can we get questions from Jordan?
And a few giveaways. Yes.
Okay, so we also have Judge Thompson
We want to
and
get
his wife. Can we get a picture?
His wife, so his wife.
Oh, his wife's still here. Oh. As you can tell, I'm not a native. Sorry.
All right, everybody, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
no. We want, are you ready for a question? Which way?
Put it right close to you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Thompson, please talk about this idea of being one of the first invitations to all these civil rights here.
One of the things that has always been impressed upon me is the fact that freedom is never final. It has to be won with every generation. And so I am pleased to stand on the shoulders of people who came before to bring us to a more equitable society, and feel very honored to be recognized along with the other civil rights pioneers here to have done my part in getting us to a point where we're more inclusive as a society. And it's not lost on me that I'm the only female on the wall so far. And so we have to continue to work to build the more perfect union. We are not yet perfect, but we can certainly make a commitment to continuing to work to get there.
So just kind of talk about, to your point about the fact that there is more work to be done, kind of talk about the work that you've been doing, whether at the state level or locally, to kind of push that forward.
Well, I've been working locally to preserve a very much unknown portion of our history. I'm the founder of the Wells-Built Museum of African American History and Culture. I'm also the founder of the College Reach Out program, which I initiated when I was at Valencia College. And that was a program that allowed low-income minority students to come to campus on weekends and during summers, and I worked to get scholarships for them and help thousands of young people to realize the dream of a college education. So I have been committed to developing youth. I served with Mr. Albert Nelson in the human relations field. At one time I chaired the Florida Commission on Human Relations, and then I ran for office. And so at the state level, I have been working to make sure that our textbooks, that our lesson plans, that the curriculum reflects the experiences of a diverse population of people here in Florida. One of the things that I found when I came to Orlando in the 1970s, as you heard, you can find information about national figures and their contributions. But when I was at Valencia and working in February to present African American history programs, I could not find information about the local people. And so I participated in an oral history project where we interviewed Nat Ford, we interviewed I. Sylvester Hankins Jr., we interviewed Alzo Reddick, so many of the people who helped Orlando be the city beautiful, where we want to live, work, and play. And then later, I transcribed the conversations that we had during those oral history interviews, and I wrote a book called Black America, Orlando, Florida, and that was published in 2003. And I continue to work at the state level, and about a year or so ago, I sponsored an amendment to make sure that the history of the Ocoee Massacre was included in the lesson plans and the curriculum for students here in the state of Florida, as well as the sacrifices of Harry T. Moore and Harriet Moore, focusing on local people in addition to national people. Because while Dr. King had a dream, he was working on a national level, traveling throughout the country, and it took people in every locality to help make his dream a reality. And so those are the people that I have helped to bring to the forefront here in the city of Orlando.
And then lastly, just talk about the significance of this occasion happening and tying in with Juneteenth.
Well, Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom, and we're still working toward freedom for a lot of people. When our founding documents were written that said all people are created equal, it was not true for Native Americans. They were not considered equal. It was not true for people of African ancestry who were counted as 3/5 of a human being. It was not true for women. Women were considered chattel. They were owned by their fathers and then later by their husbands. And so Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom and the journey to get us to a place where all of us are included in the whole notion of equality. And I want to invite people to join us tomorrow at Lakeshore Center, where we are presenting the exhibit that documents the journey of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune to Statuary Hall. Florida has the distinction, and I fought really hard, we have the distinction of being the only state in the nation to vote through its legislature to be represented in Statuary Hall by an African American female. Each state gets 2 statues, and those are individuals who are supposed to represent the best that the state has ever produced. And Florida has been represented by Confederate General Edmund Kirby Smith and Dr. John Gorey. Dr. John Gorey is the father of air conditioning. He belongs in Statuary Hall. I love him. We voted in the legislature to remove the statue of General Edmund Kirby Smith. He was born in St. Augustine but did not grow up in Florida. He was a Confederate general who, in fact, was the last Confederate general to surrender after the Civil War. The Civil War ended in April. He did not surrender. He kept his troops on the field until June. And those were the troops in Galveston, Texas. And when they got the news on June 19th, 1865, they celebrated. And so June 19th, over the years, has been contracted and is simply known as Juneteenth. So this is a wonderful beginning of our Juneteenth celebration and observance, and I invite everyone to see this wonderful, we have a pop-up of the statue, but we have everything else. You can take a picture with the pop-up, but the statue's in Washington, D.C., of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who represents the state of Florida in the nation's capital.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Okay.
And Representative, we see why you're on the wall.
Okay.